Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as usual, I'm bringing you the show, and this time I say I because I'm here alone. I'm bringing you the show that lights up your Wednesday night. Now, tonight we're doing something different. We're going to have a chat with one of the most influential men in this country. Can you guess? Well, I have a surprise for you. I want to welcome Major General Kainerugaba to the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, I mentioned we have a challenge in Uganda. When we're just having a chat, a lot of us are not taking on responsibility as ourselves, you know, to go out there and do things. We're waiting for everybody else to do things apart from ourselves. So, first and foremost, we're excited to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
I mean, it's good to have you here. Now, Major, I have a question for you. We've often heard people talk about security, expectations from our security services. As a man, is it my place in society to take lead and to be in charge of the security of my family?
Yeah, I think so. We're told, science tells us that the genetic makeup of a man is in order to endow him with certain abilities, strength, speed, that are directly concerned with protecting his family, his community. So I think it's an innate role for men to be involved in some kind of securing their communities.
Yeah. Now, you know, unfortunately, I come from the school of thought that we need to go back to the way things used to be, and I'll tell you why. Because you know, I mentioned to you earlier, my dad was a tough guy. He was always known as that guy who was in charge. But now we're seeing this crop of new generation of men, okay, who are kind of shy of taking on responsibilities, and they say, oh, you know what, we expect somebody else to take it on. Can we blame that on us as the what do you call it, as the foundation, saying that we're not bringing up young men to take responsibility?
It's an interesting question. Mentorship. I've heard of people who never got much mentorship, or who never had too many role models in their lives growing up, and they've turned out pretty, to do, pretty well.
Yeah.
And then there are those who had everything, and still were not able to, did not turn out that well.
Yeah.
So I haven't made a decision whether it's nature or nurture that determines how somebody will turn out yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for any young person growing up to have some bit of mentorship, and have people to look up to.
Because you know, one of the things, another one of the things that I believe in is a lot of people learn from the things that they see others do. Before there was all the Mayumba Kumi initiative, and that's what the LC system was actually born of. But now we're becoming more and more private. You know, my business is my business. I can live in a community where even in the same compound where there are like 7 people, and I don't want to know. You know, I just mind my own business, because I think that, okay, if I talk to these guys, they're going to want to come into and start, you know, even maybe sharing my food. Because some people, food is a very serious issue. Do you think the Mayumba Kumi initiative is something that we need to bring back and just start getting back to it?
Mayumba Kumi is an initiative that was only recently passed by the Police Council. Actually, I think it was February this year, and it's basically a neighborhood watch scheme, and it looks at linking police with the community to enhance security. So it involves elements like patrols, lookouts in the neighborhood, call centers, that different neighborhoods can call in case they see something out of the ordinary. And they did a pilot, like a dry run of the scheme in Luero and Nakaseke. And it was very, very successful in reducing cattle theft in that area. So it's I think it's something that should be expanded. It should certainly be implemented and expanded. I think it will enhance security.
Okay. Now, security, of course, is top on everybody's lips right now. Everybody's saying about security and all that stuff. But could all this insecurity that we're seeing right now be more of the fact that we're young, we're a very young country, actually about one of the youngest in the world. We've got a lot of young people. Even when you just walk outside there and you stand, you hardly see any old people. They're all young people. But these guys are idle. They're just, and there's also some sense of entitlement, where people believe that, hey, you know what, I mean, if somebody else has, then why shouldn't I take it? In your opinion, what do you think we can do, especially like as societies, to start getting our youth engaged in meaningful stuff?
Obviously, from a security perspective, you don't want, first of all, you don't want too many idle people. So obviously, more jobs, more employment would take care of that. But I don't think that alone is because there are countries where the level of unemployment is low, but there's still crime. So I think it's a combination of things. I don't think there's a silver bullet that removes all ills in society.
Yes.
But certainly less idleness would be part of the measures.
Now, on the issue of idleness, there's this whole bunch of guys who now are migrating from the rural areas into urban areas, with this quest for wealth. And I say I blame us, because when Christmas comes, we're going to the village, we go with so much pomp and everything. So those guys look and then they say, man, there's money there, Then when they come, they realize it's not all that great. My thinking is, I think we do, as individuals, we need to see how we can do more, and stop waiting, like saying, government sort us out. And I told you I'm into agriculture, and one of the things which we're doing is we're trying to show young people that, first of all, there's everything right with being a farmer, and there's also everything right with what you might look at small money, but then when you build, it accumulates to better money. However, where do you think all this expectation is coming from? Because the youth nowadays they think that their parents owe them, their relatives owe them, country owes them, everybody owes them apart from themselves.
You talked about getting more involved in your own personal security. and I think that's a commendable position. We need to encourage that. We need to encourage that. So the more involved you can get, those young people in their, participating in their own security would be the ideal situation.
And actually, talking about security, I mentioned where I stay. We have for the sake of the viewers, we have a security committee. Yes, which we're very keen on knowing, being literally in everybody else's business. But as I mentioned, what it has done is it has put us in a situation where we are able to know who's in the community and who is out, and how, and so we are able to be on top of things. So the moment we see a stranger in the community, we're able to literally weed them out. So my question is, what more can we do as men, such that, because it takes courage, to just, do I just go out there and start rallying my neighbors and tell them, guys, come to my place, let's have a chat about this?
No, you need to work with the police. It's as I said, it is that Mayumba Kumi or neighborhood watch or whatever you want to call it is a cooperation between the police and the community. Yeah. So you need to reach out to your local police post or your police station. Yes. And work with them to build the structures of Mayumba Kumi. Okay. Don't become a vigilante. Don't do things on your own. Don't do things on your own. Always do it in coordination with the law.
With the law. All right, cool. Now, we do have to go into a break. Now, we are here having a chat with Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, and we are talking about security, the one thing that has been on everybody else's lips. Now, when we come back, the first thing we're going to want to talk to you about, Major General, is about being a vigilante. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back from the break. In case you just joined us, well, you've missed quite a bit of our show. We're talking about security. And with us tonight, we have Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. General, now, vigilantes. There are some guys who have decided to take the law into their own hands. Is that legal, first of all? Because, people have been watching superheroes, Batman and the rest.
No.
Yes.
It's not legal at all. It's not legal at all.
Is it okay for somebody to decide that if maybe I know somebody who's a nuisance in my area, to go and deal with them?
You should report. You should report your suspicions, because everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So that's how the law works. Yes. So you should report your suspicions to the police.
Okay. But there are a number of people who seem to not be to make the difference between being a vigilante group and a neighborhood watch. Because like in my place, there are some guys who we had to just tell them, no, it's fine, to calm down, because they were excited and charged. They wanted to go on especially on the night patrols, saying we're going to get guys tonight. And we were like, okay, I think you're getting it wrong. But as the reality is, even with the neighborhood watch, we cannot be able to have help when you need it every time. What about things like within a plot? Can people start coming together, like, for example, the parents, making sure they can look after each other's children, making sure that if somebody's coming to pick kids, they're either maybe put in the same van or they go with the same transport?
Absolutely, absolutely. communities that communicate, that interact, that are proactive is the way to go. You shouldn't have communities of strangers, people who don't know each other, who don't care about what's going on beyond their fence. It's not. I don't think that's the kind of society we should become.
Yeah. And which is, it's unfortunate we are everybody's in small pockets. Because I know there are some people who have, like, for example, if their kids are going to school, they hire the same, they contribute money, and then they have maybe a van that comes and picks all the kids. So it's a van they know, and they know the owner. There's a clear record of the driver. Which brings me to my next query. There are these guys called house helps, both men and women. Should we, what should I do to make sure that this person I'm bringing, whether it's even a gardener or anybody who's coming to work in my house, is somebody who I can at least follow up on in the event of anything?
Well, I think you should always do a certain amount of vetting for anybody who works for you. You should know the source of whoever provided that name or that person. Yes. You should trust the source. Do your own vetting. I think that's just at an individual level. I don't think that's something for the state to get involved in. I think this is just being security conscious at an individual basis. At a family level.
Earlier when we were having our chat, we talked about the issue of intelligence. Is it okay for me to gather intelligence about my neighbor? Because some people might term that as snooping. rather than say, why are you all up in this business?
I don't think you should become an intelligence agent by yourself. But if it's part of a neighborhood, in the neighborhood, if you're doing it in coordination, if you're an extension of the police's role in the community, absolutely, whatever suspicions you have, you should always report. You see a suspicious person in the locality or in the village, you should report that to the police, but don't take the law into your own hands.
Now, technology is a very interesting thing. Nowadays, there are all these drones and all that stuff. There's a friend of mine whose kids put him under a lot of pressure. And they told him, Dad, we need a drone. So he got them a drone. And then while they're busy assembling it together, getting ready for it to do its first flight, he asked them, but why do you guys want this? He said, we want to spy on the neighbor. And he asked him, what do you mean? He said, because they have also a drone that is flying over. Now, drones, of course, can be used for many things. From the state side of things, are we encouraged to own such equipment?
I think they're still working on I'll have to check, but I think they're still working on the law to regulate. Technology is advancing so quickly that it always brings with it security challenges. You've heard of drones landing on the White House lawn. It's, somebody just decides he's going to pilot his drone and so it presents challenges, and even the legislation has to keep up with technology. So I think it's probably illegal to to use a drone to spy on your neighbor.
And find out you might see things you're not supposed to see.
I think it's probably illegal to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when we talk about being armed, a lot of people believe that if you're armed, then you're sorted. What is your opinion on that?
I don't know. I don't think gun ownership is it's a remedy to crime, because again, look at what's happening in the US, for example. All the gun crime that's going on there.
Yes.
Where it's actually enshrined in the Constitution that people have a right to bear arms. But you can see the strong debate going on there. But whereas in the UK, the United Kingdom, where you're absolutely not allowed to have a gun, crime is much, especially gun crime is much lower.
Yes.
So I don't think I think our we had people in this country we had communities in this country that had guns, like the Karamojong.
Yes.
Karamojong, we spent years and years disarming the Karamojong. Of 40,000 guns. They had 40,000 guns in Karamoja. Alone. 40,000 guns. And not small, real rifles, submachine guns and so on. So the government policy was to disarm, because they were causing a lot of problems amongst themselves, the different clans and other communities. So disarmament was a policy of the government, still is the policy of the government.
Yes.
And it brought down cattle rustling in Karamoja and loss of life in that region. So I think less guns is probably guns in the hands of people who are trained.
Yes.
Like the army, police is probably the way to go.
Yeah, because again on that, because I know a lot of there's been quite a huge debate about guns and who should be armed and who should not be armed. But we've seen situations where somebody gets excited, they go to a bar, a nightclub, and then they get into a disagreement, and then they become a different person because they're armed. Is there a provision maybe for civilians where we can say we can arm a percentage of the population, but they have to go through strictly specific training, and then after that we see how to go from there?
Is there a policy for that?
Yes.
I think now there are people who have licenses, private licenses for guns, but they have to go through there's a process, and it's controlled by police.
Yes.
They have to get a permit, I think, from police after vetting to make sure that you're mentally stable or something like that. You're not going to go shoot on a shooting spree or something.
Yes.
But the other aspect that I can think of is in a wartime situation, then the uniformed services, like the army, can be supported by local defense units, which are armed after training.
Okay. Yes.
After training.
So basically, any weapon, even if it's a bow and arrow, in the hands of an untrained person, it's just bound to be a disaster.
Yeah, but the bow and arrow is not as or a spear is not as dangerous as a firearm.
Yes.
They're not as, you can't compare
the two. Yeah. They're not, those are not apples and apples.
Yeah.
Okay.
The different scales of
Yes.
lethality.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Now, if we touched a little bit on technology. What about things like alarm systems? Because, you know, everybody has this feeling that, you know, they must be very expensive and that kind of thing. What's your take on that?
Absolutely, technology is an enabler.
Yes.
It enables you. So, absolutely, the president is now talking about CCTV coverage.
Yes.
So that's going to be another enabler for security.
Yes.
If you go to, I'm sure you go to advanced countries, the UK or the US or somewhere else, you can hardly, you know, make a move without a camera. Without a camera,
they have their eye on you.
Yeah, recording what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some people have a saying that that's going to be invasion of privacy.
Not in public spaces.
Yes.
Not in public spaces. If it's in your home, yes, but if it's on the highway, on you know, public buildings, it can't be.
Privacy.
Can't be. Yeah.
And actually, also one of the things I say is, what are you doing that you don't want us to see? So it means you must be up to something shady.
Exactly.
Now we have to get into a break right now. We are getting it. Don't forget, this is your show. As we always say, we want to hear from you. Go to our Facebook page, like it. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, and let's keep up this conversation during our live debate. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back from the break. We are now in the last section where we are talking about men and security. If you've just joined us, you've missed like 3/4 of your life, but it's not too late to catch up with us for our final segment. Now, we're here talking to Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
One of the things which that has always played with my mind where security is concerned is as a young man, you know, growing up, I used to be just not know how am I supposed to take control. I mean, am I supposed to be in a situation where I work with my father, okay, so that we take control of the security situation, because security, as I mentioned earlier, has a lot to do with intelligence, has a lot to with simple things. Do you leave the doors open at night and then go to sleep and then wonder why somebody has come in? And also just being aware of your surroundings. So how is a young man supposed to be able, like, for example, if somebody is doing their reconnaissance around my area and I keep seeing this face, is it okay for me to just go run straight to the police and report them, or do I need to just run it through the family establishment?
Again, I think that's the measures you take as an individual to secure yourself.
Yeah.
And I think most things done in self-defense are even in the law, I think are legitimate.
Yes.
If somebody attacks you and you overpower them, then I don't think you have a case to answer. So just be aware. Just be aware of your environment. If you see something suspicious, report it to the police. You know,
Yes.
report it to the authorities. The LC, the Defense Secretary, you know, LC1 level, or the intelligence officer in the sub county or something. So I don't think you can be, anyone will query you for being. I think that you will even be. You'll even be praised. You'll be praised for being
alert.
Security conscious. Security conscious.
So, in terms of where security is concerned, can we then say it is imperative that everybody has to always be 100% alert?
Alert, absolutely. Yeah. I think so. I think, you see, that's how it used to be. I mean, before, if you go back in history, before the history of mankind, before the invention of nation states, where security was outsourced to institutions like the army and the police, people used to take care of their own security in their villages, in their home regions. It was just natural. It was a natural thing to do. So I think it's part of the natural state to for somebody to look after as far as possible their own security.
Do you think then what we need to see is bigger cooperation? Again, I quote because from where I stay, we've got a very solid team working as the civilians and the police working together. Do you think then now it calls for bigger cooperation between both the civilians and security forces to make sure that at least we deal with our security issues?
Absolutely. I think that's the way to go. That's the way to go. And from the little interactions I have with some of my friends, those that have a neighborhood watch system in their areas seem to be more, there seems to be less crime in those areas than in areas that do not.
It's every man for himself.
Not every man for himself, but alertness and cooperation with police.
Okay. Now, the thing is, generally, because we're human beings, they're good people, they're bad people. That's the way they are. I think we're in a situation where a lot of people have, especially where the police is concerned, we're in a situation where people have labeled them and as on the wrong side. Can we be in a situation where we start, again, very close to what you've just mentioned, Amano, working a bit closer, so that we can actually see and understand? Because, sometimes when you don't know the bottlenecks that somebody has, it's very hard to manage your expectations where they're concerned. So should the public take the initiative to actually go to the police and engage them positively and at least get this conversation about security going on?
Absolutely. And I think even the police, I think they are. I was seeing a document recently. They're trying to develop officers whose role is engagement with the community. Community liaison officers. And there's another one called children and family protection officers. So they're trying to direct. Part of their force to engage continuously with communities.
Yes. Okay, that's great. By and large, I mean, we do have security challenges in Uganda, but by and large, we are a much safer country than a lot of other places. Do you think we need to be doing more in terms of showcasing our gains, so that the public can generally appreciate what is going on? Because I believe there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that many of us are not aware of. But we are quick to judge by the little knowledge that we have.
I just told you that there were 40,000 guns in Karamoja at one point, and the level of violence and criminality there was
Way
off
through
the
the
charts.
roof.
Off
Yeah.
the charts.
Yeah.
There were rebel groups in this country not so long ago. I mean, LRA, ADF. So you can't compare what Uganda went through in the past with now.
Yes.
There's just no comparison. At one time we had 1.5 million people in IDP camps, internally displaced
Yes.
people's camps
Yeah.
in the north.
Yes.
So the security situation has improved tremendously because all those rebel groups are defeated.
Yes.
The overt military challenges to the state were all defeated.
Yes.
Now we're having to what is causing concern is violent criminality, it's violent crime.
Yes.
So I think, and especially in the urban areas,
Yeah.
in the urban areas, not so much in the rural areas, but in the urban areas. So the showcasing, I think those who were there know.
Yes.
Maybe we need more people like you to showcase it. We need,
Yes,
we need
what
more
you
people
doing
like you to showcase it.
Yes. No, definitely. There's a gap where that's concerned, because I also come from the school of thought where let's talk solutions. Let's talk solutions. Let's find out how do we deal with it. And also, again, in talking solutions, I think we need to move away from the usual finger pointing, saying it's pointing fingers at everybody else except me, and that way we definitely can be able to make Uganda a better place, And I mentioned it. I just think we need to be more patriotic, if you ask me. Just it's as simple as that. Because if we all love our country, we all focus on making Uganda a better place, then it can only get better.
Absolutely.
Yes. And also aware of the fact that there are challenges everywhere, even in Norway. Yes. There are challenges there. So we're reaching that point when we actually do need to start wrapping up. What, as your parting shot, what advice can you give to men out there on how they can be able to improve their security?
Well, I'll just give a we've been talking security throughout.
Yeah.
I'll just give a general parting shot.
Yes.
To all the men out there. Number one, fear God. Number two, love your families. And number three, love your country. Yeah. Be patriotic, because Uganda is the mother of all of us. So she needs to be loved and by all, by men and women.
No, nice. It's not only by men, huh?
Not only by men.
All right. Cool. Now, we've been talking about security here with Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, and the focus has been on what we as men can do. Now, guys, at the end of the day, Uganda is ours. It belongs to us. And it's upon us to take it in our, in our stride, and make sure that we make this country a better place. It has been a great time having you tonight. And as we close, can only say, for God and my country, good night and God bless.
I'm the man.